So good evening, everybody. My name is Craig Blanchett, and I'm a optimal health coach, and it's my pleasure to bring you our weekly Habits of Health class. And it's really, we call it a healthy huddle or a health class. This happens from 6 p.m. to 6:30 on weekdays. And then at 6:30, we have a specific chapter review each week where we review Dr. A's Habits of Health. And so we'll be talking about that in a minute. But tonight, we have kind of a fun new presentation, and it's called Mythbusters, the Habits of Health edition. And so I am going to jump over into that now. And I'm assuming you guys can see Mythbusters, Habits of Health there. One of you guys want to give me a nod to that? You can. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Kim. All right, so basically what I've done is we've got a number of different health myths that I've looked up over the past few months, and I put them together in this little presentation, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it. First of all, I want to kind of just give a little bit of a sample of my story. I started this program and kind of learning about this idea of habits of health about 6 years ago. I lost 50 pounds and, been maintaining a pretty consistent healthy weight and health for the last 6 years. And so it's been fun to be able to go back and do a lot of activities that I haven't done in a while and that I haven't been able to do when I was overweight. And so that's kind of fun. And then, not only have I been able to lose weight and learn this process, but then I've been able to help other people with the same thing, and then other people actually start their own health coach practices and work with people, helping them to get healthy. So that's been kind of fun. The next, this story tonight, or this presentation, is going to come from Dr. A's Habits of Health and Living a Longer, Healthier Life. And so without further ado, we're going to get right into this. Our first myth is eat less and move more and you'll lose weight. I'm curious if you guys want to maybe unmute your mic or something and give us an idea of what you guys think. Is that a myth? Is it plausible? Is it confirmed? Or is it busted? What do you guys think? Who wants to jump in on that one? Okay, Martin. I guess we can probably have you guys answer maybe even in the chat window, but here's what I'll do. Why don't I give the answer?
No,
you want to share it? Go for it.
It's totally true.
It's totally eat less and move more and you'll lose weight.
If I cut back to a normal diet, to a normal caloric intake and move more, I would lose weight.
Okay. It's probably, okay. So let's see what it's plausible. So it says weight loss is 80% of what you eat and 20% of what you do. And so this actually comes from Habits of Health, page 64. And the quote there was, why exercise alone, just by itself, won't help you to lose weight. So that's kind of a first. It's not a busted myth, but it's true. It does technically work that way, but there's more to it than just the weight, the exercise. All right, so our next myth is eat 3 square meals a day.
No.
What's that? That's the healthiest thing to do. I see a lot of no's, a lot of shaking your head no. Yeah, that one is actually busted. Yep, exactly it. Research indicates that eating small portions at frequent intervals is good for your health in a number of remarkable ways. This comes from page 62 of the Habits of Health. What was really interesting about this particular myth, and I'm going to stop our share screen here. one of the things that they found out with, they had two groups of people, the Mayo Clinic did this study, two groups of people, and both of them had the exact same foods. Of course, that would mean the exact same calories. And half of the group ate all of that food 3 times a day, and the other half of the group ate 6 times a day. So the only difference was in the frequency. Everything else was identical. And there was a major difference in the people that ate every 3 hours lost weight. The people that ate only 3 times a day gained weight or maintained weight. And then there was a significant difference in energy level and sleep quality, and so all these other benefits. So you can check out that study by the Mayo Clinic on the science of 6 fuelings a day. Any comments you guys want to add about that, and maybe personal experience you've had in your own life? No? You just say, yeah, that's true. It's good.
I'll jump in, Craig.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I actually wanted to respond to the first myth.
You did. You go for it.
Awesome. So I am somebody that has PCOS, and so I went and saw a nutritionist and was following the program and writing down everything that I was eating. And they basically told me, you must not be writing everything down, because I was cutting back my calories and I was exercising. And at the time, I didn't understand what the choices of, even though you think of fruit as healthy and other things as healthy foods, I didn't understand how the combination was affecting my own insulin resistance and everything. And that's what I learned by going through this program. So I love that you put plausible, because, maybe for some people and maybe in some ways that can work, but there is a lot of information that's not, I feel like is not out there, that is in the habits of health. And I was just like, finally, somebody understands what I'm going through as I read through that book. So that was my reaction.
Thank you, Kim. You know what the crazy thing here is? Here's the crazy thing. I believe you and I did the same program. And I don't have PCOS, mostly because I can't. I'm a guy. But think about that. Is it the same program that worked with you with your unique circumstances was the same program that I did, and the same program Dean did, and the same program Debbie's doing, and the same program Mary did, as far as phase 1. Our maintenance probably looks a little different. But the 5-in-1 simply works. PCOS or no PCOS, right? And I love the fact that I say this program was created for human beings. And so if you're a human being, it'll work for you. And that's what I've seen happen over the years. So thank you. Awesome. Let's jump into this the next question here. Blueberries are good for you. Now, I'm kind of setting you guys up a little bit, because you know how I feel about blueberries. I know they're good for your taste buds, that's for sure. And they'll even have they're good if you want blue teeth. That's kind of fun. So this myth is plausible as well. And so when considering the glycemic index, there are many choices of fruits that are much healthier for you. Blueberries are high in antioxidants, but also high on the glycemic index scale, and they will spike your blood sugar when eaten alone. Any comments on that? Are you bummed about that? Are you excited about that? Are you part of the, believe it or not, there's a blueberry lobby out there that I get hate mail from on this one. Dean. Yeah.
I get it. I read it. I understood it, but I do eat blueberries, I confess, but I think it's the quantity that really is what I'm careful with. So I don't eat them as much as I did in the past. I'm just a little bit more selective on my servings.
And I think that's super balanced, actually. But before this program, you ate them probably without reservation because blueberries, right? Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so now we're careful because we know that even though there are some good things about them, there's also some things that won't get us what we want. So Same with pineapple. I eat pineapple, but I used to I'd open a can and I'd pour it in a bowl and I would eat it. And nothing else with it, just a bowl of pineapple. And then I would drink the magic juice in the cup, right? And I thought, man, this is good for me. Meanwhile, it's good for me if I want to bulk up.
I was going to ask, Greg.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to ask you. You said blueberries, and now you just said pineapple. But are you kind of speaking to most fruits in general?
Well, grapefruit. Now, if you turn to page 100 in the Habits of Health, there's a glycemic index chart there of different types of fruits and the different amounts of sugar that is contained in different types of fruits. And so you'll see that the stuff in the red, apricots, bananas, blueberries, cantaloupe, kiwi, I know, start crying, grapes, mango, melon, pineapple, and watermelon. Those are all above 50 glycemic index. And 100 is pure sugar, pure glucose. And so anything of 50 or above is going to raise your blood sugar fairly dramatically, and that has some side effects. Now, things that are below 50, 30 to 50, will raise it, but not dramatically. And the things below 30 don't raise it much at all. So if you stick to the things in the green, the fruits in the green, you're going to have better results at not storing those calories as fat, essentially. And you won't have as big of a spike in your blood sugar and then the dip on the other side, which makes you kind of tired. So,
here's kind of an interesting thought that you just said something, Craig, about storing them as fat. Storing them as fat. When we're gaining weight and we're storing them, we're really not storing them because we're never going to use them again. We're converting them to fat.
Yeah.
To be held on to.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, yeah. And sometimes for a long time. I heard a client one time, she said, yeah, I just put on some baby weight, from having my baby. And I was like, well, how old is your son? 20. And I was like, okay, so yeah, maybe that baby weight thing. Yeah, so that's the whole piece about the glycemic index and different fruits. It doesn't mean that every fruit that you can eat has vitamins and minerals, and there's good things about it. It's natural, and there's wonderful things about fruit. But certain fruits will raise your blood sugar, and there's a downside to that. So, and here's the actual chart. If I would have just clicked on one more slide, raspberries, grapefruit, or strawberries are better choices than blueberries when considering the glycemic index. So you can stand those greens. The greens are going to be better for you.
So Craig, question. I've always, because, the red is my love.
I know, right?
There's a lot of love here in the red.
There's a lot of love in the red. It's like Valentine's Day. It's a heart.
Yeah, exactly. But I've always wondered, and when I started looking into this, when I first read this the very first time, of course I was a little concerned. Because, watermelon, just for things that I do, bananas, for example, very typical for me to eat a banana for breakfast and something, right? But can you kind of speak to the index versus, my brain is full today, but there's another term that talks about the amount of fruit that you eat relative to the index, and I just can't remember the term.
It's the glycemic load, I believe.
The load, yes. I'm curious why Dr. A doesn't really dwell on that. Is it more because he just wants to set good habits and not kind of get into that gray area, or?
I've looked into the glycemic load a little bit, and I kind of got confused. I needed someone to kind of give me context and help me with some analogies, because that's how I understand things. So I didn't really understand the glycemic load, but because of this book, I did have a pretty good understanding of the glycemic index.
Right.
So yes, I don't know about that. I also know that, like, if you're going out for a bike ride or you're an athlete, a banana before a bike ride is not necessarily going to be the same as a banana before you go sit at your desk on your computer all day, right? So they're different, and there's actually really good reasons when exercising to have high glycemic foods.
Right. Well, that's kind of where we said it.
Exercise.
Great.
Right?
Okay.
And
Thank you.
And I took a look at into that glycemic load a little bit also, Craig, when I got asked about it, and it was, I guess I can sit up and be more
better by.
Yeah, and be more attentive. I think it's more, think of it as a weighting factor. It's a way to weight the sugar content of the fruit we're eating. But so even though watermelon is really high, the calorie count is not that high, but still from an impact on our insulin and blood sugar, it's still going to have an impact there as it raises our insulin and affects our blood sugar. And that's, you know, or when that crashes, that causes cravings and that we probably end up making poor choices.
Yeah.
So it's,
so it's glycemic index, it's calories and blood sugar compared to calories. And so even though watermelon might be high glycemic, which it is at 76, there's few calories in it. So it's maybe has a different load, glycemic load.
but
I don't want to get too off on this rabbit trail because I got a bunch more slides here. But yes, there is a little bit about glycemic load and glycemic index. And both would be interesting. If you just learn the glycemic indexes, I think you'll do really well. There's not going to harm you, but you might dive deeper and look at glycemic load for sure. All right, so let's jump on to the next myth, which is low fat and low carb are the way to go. And that one, my friends, is busted. We need to get energy from all three macronutrients. So that's carbs, fats, and proteins. So an energy balance is essential to weight loss and weight maintenance. And that comes from a number of pages in the Habits of Health. And that's why some of these programs like the Atkins diet is very popular. One of the reasons is because it's quite simple. But unfortunately, it doesn't have the energy balance of the three different macronutrients. And so some programs that just don't favor that are the strategy that Dr. A uses and the process that we've been on, not only for the weight loss phase, but for the weight maintenance phase, is to trying to have a balance of the right amounts of essential fats and then your carbs and proteins to be similar and equal. And so you're not over the top high carbs or over the top high protein. So a couple of ideas as far as that goes. And then, one of the questions from one of our participants tonight says, why cutting back on some of those actually defeats the purpose? One of the challenges it's actually fairly involved. If you have proteins do a certain thing in your body primarily, fats do a certain thing in your body primarily, and carbohydrates do a certain thing in your body primarily. All three of those are fuel sources for your brain. So your brain can convert proteins, carbs, or fats into glucose for fuel, because that's the only thing your brain burns. Your brain is constant, steady drip of glucose. If it's too high or too low, you're in danger. So your brain is very, very protected, and it can convert anything you eat into glucose. But when your body's trying to actually rebuild and repair and grow new muscles, it can only do that with protein. And the protein that it uses, it's made out of amino acids. So you have to have protein with the proper complete carbohydrates in order to actually rebuild a cell. So somebody that has a diet that's, say, high in carbs and low in protein is going to have a hard time coming back from injuries, hard time with their hair might slow down the growth. Things aren't going to be replenished as quickly in your body because you're not getting those building blocks. And then if you have too much carb, then obviously you're spiking your blood sugar, and so your body's converting those things to fat. So there's all these downsides and upsides. I don't know if I answered your question well, but establishing a balance is also a lot more realistic in the world that we live in. So one of the things that I love to do is I used to use some type of food tools that have vitamins and minerals already attached to them and have done the glycemic balancing for me. And so that's why we use the meal replacement 72. Okay. All right, so the next one here is you are what you eat. I love this one. Confirm, you're a banana. That was for you, Mary. Mary doesn't eat bananas, but well, so it's what you eat and how much you eat is critical to your health. Eating more calories than you use leads to weight gain. High glycemic foods overwork your pancreas, and foods that stimulate inflammation, such as saturated fats, create chaos throughout your body. This comes from page 58. So we are what we eat, and that's really interesting. Is if you want to be a Cinnabon, eat Cinnabons, right? If you want to be, it's interesting that we sometimes put things in our mouth and we fail to realize that that's going to be integrated into the fabric of our actual being. It's not like I'm throwing some trash in my car. I'm actually putting trash in my body that's actually going to become me. I don't know, to me, when I thought about that, I was like, wow, that's like, I'm going to be a lot more careful with the things that I actually eat because they're going to become part of me. So, all right. So here's I think this is the last one. I know what to do. I can do this on my own. I see a bunch of smiles and I think you guys are all maybe in the same camp as me, is that's what we think. Unfortunately, that one is busted. Building a support system is the difference between thinking about becoming healthier and actually doing it. And that's on page 222 of the Habits of Health. And it's the difference between knowing what to do and doing it. You have to know it or be with somebody else that knows it, but doing is where the magic is. Actually, I don't even, to come to think about it, I don't even believe that you actually need to know how to do it to get the result. Because you could not know how to get to the top of a trail or a mountain. You cannot know how to actually put together a tent, but you can be someone else that does know how, and so you actually do it and you get the benefit. So it's the doing, even without the knowing. It's all about the doing. I never thought about that. I was always thinking you had to know it to then do it, and knowing it doesn't mean you do it. But I don't even think you have to know it. It's if you do it, whether you knew it or not, you can be learning it as you do it, I guess. But it's the bridging the gap between knowing what's healthy and doing what's healthy, and that's the key there. And the key that Dr. A says is it's a community. It's the buddy system. It's the health buddy system or the support system, and that's why we do these healthy huddles every week. It's because this develops this community where we can actually work together and become healthier. So. Let's see here. I got a couple more. I think we got one more slide left. Let's see. Oh, this is a little more details. This is actually a fascinating study. A recent study in the New England Journal of Medicine validated a social phenomenon that Dr. A has observed for years while working with people struggling with their weight and health. In it, researchers followed an interconnected network of over 12,000 subjects and determined conclusively that people who associate with overweight people become obese themselves. By modifying someone's social structure and spreading positive health behaviors, we can harness obesity. By associating with people who are healthy and thin, we can develop those attributes. And so this is a fascinating thing. If you go to I think it's Christopher Christakis, and you type that into TED Talks or YouTube, you will be able to watch a video. I think it's a 20-minute TED Talk on this interconnected social network of how people that we know and people that we don't know, up to 5 generations removed from us, actually have an effect on our health. Fascinating study. So, and that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, 357 in July 26, 2007. So, pretty fascinating stuff there. All right. I don't know enough to make a difference. I think that one's busted. Dr. A knows enough, and so if we know if Dr. A wrote what he knows into this habits of health system, and all you have to bring is your intention and desire to help another person. And we talk about sustainable impact. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So that's going to conclude our Habits of Health Mythbusters edition. Hopefully you guys liked that. That was nice and exciting. We are going to be jumping into chapter 11. And so I'm going to stop the recording here.